All right, Matt, we're getting set for the second card from the UFC's Fight Island on Yas Island, and you might have thought that it was going to be outdoors, but it is definitely not outdoors. And Matt, I'm really looking forward to this fight on the prelims between, is it the White Mike Tyson or is it a total different nickname? Does Wales have something to do with it? And John Phillips, who's been there and done that on the regional scene, hasn't really translated so well into the UFC. I mean, he was 0-3 before his last fight against Alan Amedovski, where he looked absolutely amazing in the tens of seconds that it took him to get the finish in that fight. He's taking on a really tough test and a guy that I've been excited about from the regional scene, and Khamzat Chimaev coming in from Brave. And this is a guy that a lot of people might recognize from that regional scene. Born and raised in Chechnya, trains of Sweden with All Stars MMA. You might recognize that team from such names as Alexander Gustafsson, Ilir Latifi, Gokhan Saki. A lot of great fighters from that camp, and I know there are multiple guys on this card that train there as well. Now, the thing that makes this very interesting is the fact that John Phillips is like an absolute wrecking ball. And if he doesn't finish you with his heavy hands, there's a pretty good chance you're going to beat him. I mean, we've seen that so far in the UFC. His first fight against Charles Byrd, he got submitted, a guy who's no longer in the UFC. He got submitted by Kevin Holland, maybe not the biggest submission artist, and he got beat by split decision against Jack Marshman in a bit of an odd fight. You don't always see two Welsh fighters fighting in the UFC against each other. So he comes into that last fight. I talked about it, the Amedovski fight, where he blows him out of the water. But Alan Amedovski, is he the type of guy that's UFC caliber? I don't really know. That's the other thing that plays into the fact that Khamzat Chimaev, great fighter on the regional scene, has an absolutely huge win. It wasn't in his second to last fight, big knockout. In his last fight against Mzwandile Hlongwa, that's a guy that you might recognize from EFC from a couple of years ago, who had the wild spinning back fist knockout. Like, the guy's a huge threat on the feet. But you look at Khamzat Chimaev, his striking's really good. He can switch stances. But once he closes the distance and gets you up against the cage, you really have to worry about him on the ground. That's the issue here. I saw one person say that John Phillips is kind of like a turtle. And once you get him on his back, he has absolutely no idea what he's doing on the mat. What do you make of this fight? Do you think it's a little bit too early for Chimaev? Because I might not have mentioned it. He's a welterweight, and he's a pretty thin welterweight. John Phillips is a thickie at 85.
That's really the thing. Is it going to come down to the size of Phillips or the skill of Chimaev? Because I think we can both agree Chimaev does everything better. And he really fights like a bigger Islam Makhachev, not really Khabib-esque, more Makhachev-esque, just because he will strike with you a little bit more. But the second, and like you said, the second he does close that range, especially when he gets you up against the fence, there's really nothing you can do. And once he takes you down, really good at breaking your base when you're trying to get back up to your feet and just wear you down over time. And that's really... I know he's the smaller guy, but that actually might work out for his benefit because not going to have to cut the weight. John Phillips, like you said, he's a big guy at 185, going to have to cut quite a bit of weight. And if Chimaev can at least drain that gas tank of his that we know is normally, it might be a quarter full all the time, and that's going into a fight. If he can just get him tired, wear the bigger guy down, he should be able to go for a finish by the end of it because John Phillips' career up until this point, the UFC has been quite underwhelming. I know he's got that really quick win over Amedovski, but you learn a lot less about a fighter when they win a fight in 14 seconds than when they lose a bunch of fights in a row where you actually get to see their skill set to more of an extended period. So I just don't think John Phillips is UFC caliber. I hate to say it. It sounds like I'm attacking him, but no, I just think Chimaev is going to be able to win this one pretty easily.
Former Bama champ is John Phillips. And if we look over at the odds, I was surprised. An aggregate of the odds over at Best Fight Odds actually have Chimaev a minus 240 favorite coming into his UFC debut. John Phillips plus 195. So there's definitely value in the guy with more experience and a lot more pro experience. And that's the thing that you're going to have to worry about moving forward with Khamzat Chimaev is he's got all the tools, but can he bring it together against the highest level competition, not just some of those guys over with Brave. I will agree with the odds makers here, though. I think he's going to be able to get it done. And I kind of alluded to it earlier, and it was a bit of a dig at John Phillips with something that I read on the internet. But once you get him with his back against the mat, he's just a fish out of water. a turtle on its shell. He doesn't look like he absolutely is all that comfortable. He's much more comfortable striking, pushing the pace, landing those power shots. And I think Chimaev is going to be able to bring the fight to him. If he can get the fight down to the mat quickly, he should be able to get the finish. And also, as the fight wears on, you're going to see that power bar of Phillips deplete pretty quickly. He's probably going to want to go in there for the quick finish like he had against Amedovski. But I think a longer fight favors the guy who's actually coming in on short notice in Chimaev. Do you agree there?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I can't disagree with any of it.
All right, Matt, we're really looking forward to this card, headlined by none other than Calvin Kattar and Dan Ige. An extended look at that fight, including the rest of the main card and the prelims. This is a card that's totally going to fly under the radar. You're going to want to keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. And as we always say, let's get into it.